Hello. So by now you've heard from Lori talking about the importance of hydration. You've heard from Andy talking about the importance of mindset and what a key role that plays in our overall health. And you've heard from Carol about an important health hack for realigning your focus when you veer off track a little bit. But what about food? What is the role that food really plays in our health? It's about 80% of our health journey, and the other 20 is made up of exercise, movement, and all the rest. 80% is about the food that we eat and how we nourish our body. So how do we figure that out? We Google, right? Most of us Google. We Google healthy food, healthy diet, what to eat, and we find there anything from a range of the keto diet to the cabbage soup diet, everything in between. um, and it can be really confusing. And what happens when we're confused is we start to feel overwhelmed, get discouraged, and it can even feel deflating at times, and we just want to give up and eat whatever, without really thinking about it. So we go back to um, where sustainable change really begins. And it begins with awareness. We can't change what we don't know. So that's when we start to educate ourselves and we really start to learn what role food plays in our bodies, what the foods that we put in do to us to help us or to harm us at times. Accuracy and accountability, whether that's intrinsic or extrinsic, is really key to some of this. Perfection is not a thing here. This is about progress and some accuracy along the way. So when we make change, most of us start to make change when something goes wrong. We're not thinking about the effect of what happens along the way, that the foods that we eat as a teenager affect us in how we grow into our adulthood, and it sets the foundation for that. And we don't really start to look at that until something breaks. Um, so, in the Journal of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, they state that studies show that mindfulness has a great influence on how much we eat and how we feel when we eat and when we choose to eat. So, mindfulness in our eating practices is really key. The practice of writing itself increases our awareness, our self awareness, and promotes self mastery, and then subconsciously begins to help us make healthier choices. Journaling gives us data to track our progress, and it helps us to identify seemingly minuscule unhealthy practices that can creep in. We may or may not even be aware. Um, and those can be more significant than we think. So it helps us to identify unhealthy ingredients, so like sugar, salt, added oils, gluten, other things like that, things that we don't even know how to pronounce, right? We start to identify these things merely by journaling what we eat. We identify our spikes and drops in our energy, which can be really important when we see that crash in the middle of the day and we see what we've eaten throughout the morning. It starts to make sense. And because of this, we're able to start to make change. So, thinking through health hacks and what can make this easier for you, um, food journaling is huge. Merely by writing down the food that you eat every day, and that can be through your words, through photos, whatever really works for you. You can do that in notes, in a notes app. You can do it in a little journal that you keep in your purse or in your car, where you just jot down really quickly what you've eaten at each meal. Those start to show trends. If you keep track of timing, so in the morning, you don't have to write exact times, but you can write morning, afternoon, evening, or for breakfast, I had this, for lunch, I had that, I had this snack around midday, and maybe a little note about how you felt throughout the day. you start to really build your awareness. And with that awareness comes even subconscious levels of change. So it's a really great hack that can get you started on the right foot so that you at least know where you need to make change.